Okay, so I wanted to do a tarot reading for this month, and I don't really have much of an idea of what type of reading I wanted to do, but I did want to try to do something, and more importantly, I wanted to record something, but of course my camera doesn't work, so I'm trying to do an audio recording thing, and it's not going to be perfect because my equipment is what my equipment is. But I wanted to do just a short reading just to see what it sounds like, how it feels to me, and how y'all as listeners would respond to it. This would just be something that I can use because I'm thinking maybe I can turn it into an audio podcast. You can put it on in the background, listen to a quick reading to here or there, not really have to deal with anything. So right now I'm using the Rider-Waite Borderless Tarot, and I'm just going to do a very, very quick reading for the collective, and it's just going to be some words of encouragement. So whenever you hear it, hopefully it can encourage you as you go about your day, your week, your month, even your year. Shout out to Three's Company. No, wait, they're not Three Company. What is that? Friends. I literally did not intend that, but anyway, so I'm going to do some shuffling. If you hear any excess noises, this everything is on my desk. I'm trying to put out as little noises, excess noises as I possibly can, but again, my setup is as my setup is. So all right. There we go. All right. I call upon the Great Spirit, my beloved and benevolent ancestors, both known and unknown, who wish me good and not harm, and my beloved God's great mother, the divine mother, my Khalid, and the great grandfather. I call upon you to give me your wisdom and your insight now. Just a short, quick message, some words of encouragement for all those who may come across this audio and might want to might just need some words of encouragement to get them through whatever they're currently going through, something that can encourage them. I pray that you give me wisdom, give me insight, and give me a message, please. Currently shuffling cards. There's an airplane flying overhead, so if you hear that too, I apologize. Like I said, my equipment is as my equipment is. We have the 10 of Cups in reverse. What else do we have for us? What else do you have for the collective spirits? Please speak to me. Any other words or messages that you may have to want to say to the collective, all those who come across this, who may hear this message? What words of encouragement do you have for them? Oh, that is the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh. See, what else do we have here, Spirit? Speak to me, please. What other messages do you have here? That's my mouse, I'm sorry. What other words of encouragement? Anything else? Any other cards? Any other messages that can come out for that you have for us? Oh, okay. I think that may be all of it. I did ask for a short reading. All right. Let me see. Speak to me, Spirit. Give me words and insight and clarity in order to share this message. Any other words? I did hear community when the 10 of Cups had came out. I think that's very interesting, especially since it's in reverse. So this could possibly be a word of caution about those that you're making community with. Be careful about people that you that are in your community. And what I mean by that is not to like be one of those people who are just like, oh, everyone's out to get me. I mean to really look at who you are in community with and look around you. And if it's not people that are meaning to do good, not just for you personally, but in totality for the global community as well, who are looking to be more isolated, because I think this Four of Pentacles in reverse is really just kind of saying you need to find a community that is encouraging, that's helpful, that's a part of growth, and you need to put yourself in that community. But also, if you find yourself within a community that is to the negative of these things, that claims to be about growth, but they are very isolative, they are more so of the us versus them, instead of how do we take care of each other, how do we take care of those around us, those type of things. You might want to find yourself stepping back from those and stepping away from those communities, because there's nothing flourishing about those communities, especially in the time that we are in now. Globally, there is a lot of people that are becoming more and more cruel, honestly, even more so than usual. And they really do. There's a lot of people who do a lot of talk. There's a lot of people who use the guise of community in order to do harm. So let's say that you're lonely and you are going through something and you feel like no one understands you, and there's somebody who comes along and says, hey, we understand you, but they end up being like a white supremacist terrorist group. You know what I mean? Like, those are not groups that are actually community. They are violent groups that are looking to exploit your pain in order to cause pain to other people. Look for community spaces and places where you can be of help, and vice versa. Sometimes what we're looking for is like family dynamics, support systems, things like that. Don't walk into these places looking to be a hero, because that's not what it's about. It's not about you. And what I mean by that is, I'm bringing my mic forward, so if you hear any scraping, that's what that is. What I mean by that is, you don't have to, like, you can have a need yourself. That's fine. There's a reason why we look for communities. There's something that we're lacking, something that we want, some type of support that we are hoping for, that we're not necessarily getting. And the community, we're looking for community and spaces and people that provide these things, so we feel less lonely. That is my messenger. So we feel less lonely, so we feel heard, so we feel seen, so we feel like we actually feel like we matter, that we have purpose. And that's fine. That's what community is for. But sometimes there are other times where we tend to get ahead of ourselves, where maybe we're too eager and we end up doing too much. And like, for some people who have like leader sensibilities, and they may want to come in and they may want to take over. They're not always trying to, right? Some people are just, it's hard for some people to sit back and be led. And if you're one of those type of people who find it hard to sit back and be led, that was a really good time for you to learn that. To learn that there are other people around you that are just as wise as you, just as capable as you, probably even more so. It's a good time to learn that, to realize that there are things you just do not know, and that's fine. It's fine to not know everything. You don't have to know everything. It's okay to be a student. It's okay to learn. It's okay to walk into these places and be like, I just don't know. But I'm willing to learn. And that in that way you can find your place in a greater sense, right? You you should really take some opportunity, if you haven't done it already, to do some introspection, to reflect on yourself. Who are you? What do you want? What are you looking for? When you're looking at these spaces for community, what exactly are you looking for? Are you the type of person who's always looking for community but never finding it? Because why? Like, what are these places lacking that you're particularly looking for? And you may find yourself in community places you never thought of. Like, you may be looking for a religious home, and you say you were raised Christian, and so you've been looking for a religious place, home in that faith, but then you find yourself in a non-denominational space, or a space where there are multiple denominations working together for a greater good. And maybe that's what you needed. You needed to get out of yourself. And that's what this Four of Pentacles is really saying in this reading, is that you needed to get out of yourself to really find yourself in a place, to find yourself like in a new place, like a new emergence, like a new era for yourself, if that makes sense. Like, this is a really good time to discover yourself, to discover this new part of yourself, and to kind of go slow with it. You don't have to be in rush. Like I said, I know there's a lot of things happening in the world, and a lot of it requires our attention. And there are people who've been working for a very long time on these things, and you can find your home within them, following them, taking their leads. You don't have to be the leader. You can listen to what they're saying and govern yourself accordingly. What things are they suggesting that you do? What actions are they suggesting that you take? Ask questions. Ask, how can you help? Learn about new ways. There may be things that you don't even know that you enjoy doing, or that you're even good at, because you're so used to doing things in one particular way. Now is a really good time to expand that knowledge, and to expand that knowledge, more importantly, outside of yourself. When we're talking about community, we're not talking about us as the individual solely, but us in a space. Just think about actual, and I know I've been saying community a lot, but just bear with me. But as an actual community, think about like your neighborhood, for example. My neighborhood is my neighborhood is a bunch of streets, this district, but I'm going to be thinking about like the main street that I live on. And so there's about like 10 houses on this street. That's our neighborhood, right? And that is essentially our community. And so who am I know who I am as myself. I know who I am in this house and my family. But who am I to my neighbors? Do my neighbors know my name? What do my neighbors think of me? Am I someone that when my neighbors think of kindness, am I a person that comes to their mind? And if I want to be that person, how do I do that? How do I go about that? How do I put I'm looking at this message that I have on my wall. It says, put your best foot forward. And that is really apropos. How do I put my best foot forward to show that I'm open to be someone that my community on this street can lean on in times of need, or not even, again, not as a leader, but as a support system. It's important that we think about all these positions. Everybody wants to be the top of the ladder, but the top rung is only as important as the bottoms, right? You can't climb a pyramid from the top down, right? Every position matters, and you have to get out of ego. You have to get out of that place to really begin to navigate yourself anew, to navigate your position anew. Because again, going back to my house analogy, I know who I am in this house, as myself in this house. But if, let's say, my neighbors do want to want to be like, okay, if you want to be someone of help, this is how I need help. And if they invite me to my home, in their home, I cannot go into their home and be like, this is what you need to do, because now I'm in their home, and their home runs differently. Their needs are different than mine. Their experiences are different than mine. They know their house better than I ever will know their house. I can look at a blueprint of their home and be like, yes, but that doesn't mean I know what their house is like. I know what their experience is like. I know what their existence in there is like. And so when we talk about getting out of this reverse, when we're talking about this reverse of Four of Pentacles energy, we're talking about moving out of ourselves and acknowledging what we don't know, and being open to receiving knowledge, and being open to just sitting in that lack of knowledge, and becoming a student again, learning anew. This is a really auspicious time, and a very interesting time, and honestly, I would say a really good time to be reflective, introspective, to learn. I know it's cliche to say, but knowledge really is power. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be having people doing book bans and trying to to talk about, to change what we can teach in our schools about historical facts, right? Knowledge is power. Knowledge lets us know where we've been, where we've come from, where we could possibly go, what could be possible. It allows us to expand our world in ways that we can't always do. Like physically, you can't visit the world physically, but you can read and learn and educate about different places in the world. And while you may never be in certain situations, you can learn about those situations, and you can be a help in those situations, in small ways and in grand ways. But it all starts by being a student. It all starts by stepping back and really sort of just analyzing where we are, what we need, if that makes sense. I hope that does make sense. Yeah, so this Ten of Cups is really saying for you to really analyze where you currently at. Are you, what sort of communities are you in? Are they helpful? Are they helpful to you? Are they helpful to the greater good? Do their missions align with your missions? Do their beliefs align with your beliefs? Why or why not? If they don't, if you find yourself growing out of this community, what does that mean? These two cards together really are telling us to take a moment. And I think it's really important that we allow ourselves to take that moment. Again, I know so many things seems to be on our shoulders. So many things require our attention. And I'm not saying to not focus on those things, but I am saying it doesn't do harm to sit back and learn as well. And you can do both. You can learn and share forward your knowledge and information, but also, again, know your limitations. You are not solo in this mission. You're not the savior in these situations. You are a person in these places, one of many. And that is what community essentially means, that we understand and recognize that we are all here, all in this together, in the human race, whether that is a place in a physical, online, we all here together, work together. And I think that's also, I wanted to bring that up. Community spaces can be both in person and online as well. But it doesn't hurt to look at how and what your physical, personal, in real life spaces need. It's easier to do things, easier in quotation marks, to do things online in some aspects, because sometimes it's just clicking a button, clicking a follow, liking, reblogging, reposting, and those are important. But we don't want to get wrapped up in thinking that's the only way that we can show community, because, like I said, back to that analogy of being in this neighborhood, there are more things, there are physical places and spaces that need us as well. What places in your neighborhood do you know of? If you're facing food insecurity, or if people around you are facing food insecurity, how can you help? Is there a food bank that needs volunteers, that needs money, that needs food? If you care about children, are there volunteer places that are in your city, in your town, that you could volunteer your to help youth groups out, or to be a certain, even if it's just filing something? That's important, because as someone who have historically worked in the admin side of things, the admin side kind of goes like unseen a lot, but it's very important, because you mess up one file, you mess up a lot of shit. And maybe that's where you need to be, helping out with just fixing the filing system. You don't have to be the Boy Scout leader or whatever it is. You can be the person that files away permission slips or something like that, that make sure that everyone's where they're supposed to be, what they need to be, make sure that all the needs are taken care of in that way. Just like whatever you can find to that, wherever your community needs are, what ways can you help meet them? And in what ways do you need help? I think that's also important, that this is like, this reverse four of pentacles is like, also, you don't have to do things alone. Maybe it's not that you need to find yourself in community. Maybe you're afraid of letting community come to you. You're afraid of letting people in. Maybe you have some hurt, some pain, or something like that that's kind of kept you from really engaging with someone. It doesn't hurt to let people in. It doesn't hurt to say, hey, I need help. This thing that I'm going through is so much. It's too big. It's too big for me to handle. It's too big for me to carry on my own. Not being a hero also means you're not Superman. You're not, was it Atlas, carrying the world on his shoulders? You don't have to do that. You don't have to be a god or a superhero or immortal being. You can be your beautiful, fragile human self and say, I need help. I need assistance. And reach out to those people and allow them to open up to these spaces, allow them to come in. So yeah, this is a really good time for us to be reflective about who we are, what we need, what is needed of us, what's required of us, and get to doing the work. And that's for myself included, get to doing the work. I think sometimes it gets really easy to talk about some things, and it's harder to put some things in action. But now is a really good time to be actionable. It's a really good time to be actionable. So I'm going to, I wasn't going to do any oracles or anything, but I think I do want to add an oracle reading to this. And then I'm also going to end off with some affirmation cards. So I'm going to pause while I get those together, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm using the African Goddess Rising Oracle. Let me just cleanse it first. I'll be using that for my oracle readings, and then let me cleanse these other cards while I got this here. I got my affirmation cards out. Hold on. If you hear any ruffling, it's me pulling out my cards. Yeah, cleansing, bringing that new energy. All right. So let me use my, oh goodness, organize. Let me get to shuffling. Shuffle. The African Goddess Rising cards. I keep the shuffling on it because I don't know if y'all find shuffling as soothing as I do. Sometimes I like to hear the cards go brrr, brrr. I'm almost 40. Can you tell? All right, Spirit, give us some additional words of encouragement to add to this reading. Any kind of messages from this deck. Ooh. I feel the energy changing even as I'm shuffling these cards. It feels very, it feels good. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I want to cry, but in a good way. I don't know if this, I don't want to like, I'm not trying to like be up my own ass. I'm not trying to blow smoke up my ass. But if this is a reading that some of you probably really needed, you may be feeling some need of relief right now. Maybe these words or messages provided you with some relief. And if that is, I'm so grateful to Spirit for that. But if you do also feel the need to like maybe cry, get that energy out, go ahead and do that. It's also pretty good to cry when we are because crying is not also like a negative thing. Like, oh, okay, hold on. Crying is also not a negative thing. We don't always cry when we're sad. We can also cry tears of joy, and it's a really good way to release your emotions, release things that you have pent up. But I feel like some of you guys have are these cards? No, I don't know. I'm gonna keep them out. But some of you guys might have might been needing that release for a while now, and maybe if you need permission to release, then this is your permission. You got it straight from me, straight from Spirit to me to you. So release. I'm so silly. I cannot stop thinking of songs. Say, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can do it for you. Yeah. So yeah, release it. You know what? That's very interesting that I've said that because, okay. So I have 3 cards here, and I'm going to be reading them out of the book. I'm going to pause each time I go to the book so you don't have to hit me flipping through the book. I don't know, unless you like the sound of people flipping through books. I mean, I do, but maybe not on this. I don't know. But anyway, that feeling of release, I think it was very interesting because I have 3 cards, and 2 that popped out was the first one, Mama, the Jumbo, which is shine, a Ketesh, which is sacred lust, which I was wondering, I don't think what that does that have to do with the reading that we already had. But then the third card pulled out Tenet, and it was pleasure. And thinking about how that feeling of relief and release with sacred lust and pleasure, come on now. So let me pause and do the first reading. Okay, and for Mama de Jumbo, I really wish I was saying that right. I know I'm not. She is the goddess of shine from Guinea Bissau. She glitters as a guardian of the lush green forest of Guinea-Bissau. If her name sounds familiar, it is because Mama de Jumbo's name was misconstrued by colonizers and replaced with the term mumbo jumbo. Oh, meaning gibberish. Still she shines. Love that. Her guidance is you were born to shine, be seen, be heard, be a movement. We need to know your name. We need to learn your dance. Interesting. Interesting. I think that really I kind of like that for this reading. I really do. Because, like I was saying, like, I know I was saying, like, you don't, like, it's like, don't be a hero. Don't, or don't even, for some of you, don't be afraid to speak up. But that doesn't mean you can't let yourself shine, right? That doesn't, because, like, again, if you finding yourself in these positions or finding yourself looking for a community, it's okay to let your talents shine. But like I said, be wise in where you're going. Like, don't walk into someone else's house telling them how to fucking run it. But if they ask you your advice, don't hold back in sharing your opinion or sharing your thoughts. Because even if it's wrong, at least your voice is heard. And I think some of you guys might have some issues with speaking up, some issues with speaking your truth or speaking. I know, especially for the at the end of the reading, when I was talking about those who have problems usually speaking up and speaking out for themselves or are asking for help. I don't know if it's because you're shy or because you're too proud. I don't know what the reasons. It could be some of those things, all of those things, none of those things, more of those things. But you know, that be a movement part really stood out to me because nothing moves until it moves. Does that make sense? Like, you can, what is the point of sitting back and needing change and knowing things need to be done? But, you know, I say this, closed mouth don't get fed, right? You don't ask for shit, you ain't gonna get shit. But also, shit's not gonna change until we change it, until we work together to change it, until somebody, one of us, some of us have to just get out there and just start doing shit. And sometimes it's just start with being like, I need fucking help. Who is going to help this bitch? Please, who gonna help me? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes that can spark so many things. And that may not even be our intention. Sometimes our intention is just being like, this thing happens. I need a solution to this thing. I'm looking for people out there who can help me. And for some of us, I do think some of us will be building our own communities. Like, sometimes we won't find ourselves in spaces because the spaces do not yet exist. We need to create the spaces. And I think some of us have been afraid of doing that. I think some of us have been hesitant. We don't trust our wisdom. We don't trust our knowledge. And again, it kind of boils back to us thinking that we have to know everything of how to do, like, you know what you know. That's why it's important to reach out and see what other people know, right? You may know how to do A, B, and H, but the other letters, C through G, somebody else may, a whole bunch of other people may. Pull out the feelers. Find those people that may know how to do those things that you like. But you won't know until you step out of your comfort zone, until you step into the environment that's being called to you and step into the calling that's the, maybe not the calling, but, or for some of you calling, some of you is a calling, some of you is a purpose, but step into the moment that you're being faced with. Some of us being faced with very big moments right now. Not all of us. like I said, you got to take this as, like I said, I don't even know why I said it, but you have to, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And this is a generalized reading, so it's not going to hit everybody. It's going to hit some people, and some's going to hit some people harder than others. But wherever you are, whatever you need, do not be afraid to either A, ask for those things, B, create those things, C, find those things and ingratiate yourself into those places. Don't be afraid to stand up, stand out, to shine. We need to know your name. That's beautiful. It's a really good time, like I said, for introspection, for reflection, to look at yourself and ask, who am I? What's my purpose? What am I meant to do here? Where is my place community wise? What am I lacking? What am I missing? What am I needing? Where am I needed? What can I create? Do I need to be the one to create these things? Ask yourself the things. Sit in meditation. Ask your ancestors, your guides, spirit, whatever your belief system is. Turn to those things and do the introspection that needs to be done. Mama Jumbo's embodiment is daring to rise and shine starts with the courage to be seen and be heard. Your story matters and someone needs to hear it. Yes. Fear of shining brightly keeps you in the shadows, hiding and shrinking. There is no way to claim your voice and avoid rejection, criticism, and judgment. Yes, but you are not for everybody. If everyone likes you, you're not really being you. God's declaration, I'm ready to be seen and be heard. I really love that for that Four of Pentacles energy. Especially because I feel like this is a really good time for all of us, regardless of where you are or how you relate to this reading, to stop doing things alone. It's really time to stop doing things alone, to stop trying to be our own hero, to stop trying to carry the world. I say that. I think I said that, yeah. To stop trying to carry the world on our backs alone. It's really important to really stand up and stand for it. And to be seen and heard in all aspects. Your voice is just as important as anyone else's. Your presence is important. You are important. And you're needed. And I think this reading is really calling all of us to step up. It's time for all of us to step up to the plate. There are challenges are being highlighted, and all of us are being called to see where do we fit in their equation. And like I said, a lot of us are trying to be leaders in spaces that we're not called to be a leader in, at least not yet, at least not in those particular spaces. Some of us are called to just reach out, to encourage, to spark something, to spark a change, but none of that can be done if we are too busy hiding our light, or second guessing ourselves, or doubting ourselves, or putting ourselves in spaces and communities that don't serve us. Because I know I said that earlier, where some of us are in spaces or in communities that we do not need to be in, that are not beneficial to us, that are not beneficial to our purpose, to our calling, to the greater global good. Some of us are in places that we just need to back away from. And sometimes some of us may be in those places because we're familiar with them. Maybe we were born in those spaces. Maybe, like I said, it's a religious space. Maybe it's you find yourself in a church, and while you're not leaving your faith, you're realizing that the space that you're in is not aligning with your viewpoints, aligning with your beliefs, aligning with your morals, aligning with your purpose and calling for some of you guys. And it takes the courage to stand up and being like, hey, this is not for me, and walking away and finding out what is for you and what does work for you. It takes a lot of courage to be that bold, and that's what Mama the Jumbo is saying to us. It's time for you to really shine that light on yourself, and just introspect on yourself, but also stand up and speak those truths and speak those words, and don't be surprised if just that simple act can inspire someone else. Because we don't really truly know what our legacy is. You know, some of us are sure and certain of it, but a lot of us aren't. And sometimes what we think our legacy is isn't it. That's the gag, right? You know, we think we left a indelible positive mark on the world, but other people look at us and be like, yeah, that person was a piece of shit, weren't they? You know what I mean? So you don't always know in the ways in which you will spark someone, but don't be afraid to do it anyway. You may piss someone off, but okay, and everyone's not going to like you. You have to like yourself. You have to love yourself, and you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to stand up for what's true and for what's right and what's true, and for true what's true and what's right. All right, our next one we have is Katesh, and she's the goddess of sacred lust from Egypt. Katesh, the mistress of the god, is the Egyptian goddess of sacred sexuality, ecstasy, and fertility. Her two men, yes, that's what it says in the book, are the fertility god Men and Montu, the god of war. Her guidance is you are an erotic creature. You have a divine right to experience sensual ecstasy. It is sacred to give and receive pleasure. Her embodiment is you deserve to feel good. It feels good to feel good. So allow yourself to feel good. Lean into your sacred lust. Turn up your own fire and quench your thirst. Dance with pleasure. You daring to embrace your sensuality will set the world on fire. A declaration is it feels good to feel good. And I'm going to move on to Tanit, the goddess of pleasure, which I think correlates to that one. She's from Tunisia. And Tanit is the goddess of the stars in ancient Carthage. Today, all the way over to Ibiza, they still have pleasure-filled full moon midnight table dancing parties in her name. Her guidance is you are thirsty for more pleasure. You can't thrive when life feels dry. You are made of laughter and stardust, not sawdust. Pleasure, is your birthright, a gift from the universe. How much juicy pleasure can you stand? Turn up the pleasure principle. You secretly feel that you don't deserve it, but pleasure is a healing and manifesting force. Laughing, loving, and orgasmic joy is holy. Hold your hand over your reproductive area and say aloud, I declare I deserve pleasure. God's declaration, it feels good to feel good. Both of these having the same God's declaration. I find this really interesting. This came up because while I was doing flipping the cards, like I said, I was feeling this kind of feeling of release. I don't know if for some of you the spaces that you're in have been restrictive in that type of way. There's a part of you that feels guilty for embracing the fullness of yourself, embracing joy and pleasure. And while these cards do talk specifically about sexual pleasure, but it's also about pleasure and joy in life in general. There is still of that left in this world, of joy left in this world, of pleasure in all senses of the word. Me personally, I don't believe and agree with hedonism. People just filling their lives with pleasure, even to the excess, even at the detriment of others. I don't agree with that. But so for me, I'm like, let's not do that. Each their own, but let's not do that. But I do believe that it is important that you embrace those natural instincts of yourself to move forward and speak up about the desires that you want in life, the things that you want in life. You can be like, hey, I want a romantic partner. Maybe that's something that you're afraid of looking for. I want to build a life with my romantic partner. I want my own personal intimate community in my home to be filled with love, companionship, understanding. I want a partner or partners that understand that. I want to have a family that I can call my own. Or maybe it's embracing those parts of your life where you have denied and neglected yourself. What kind of joys have you always told yourself that you just couldn't have, that was not meant for you, that you weren't allowed? And I always caution about saying certain things, like because sometimes I feel like people are They just need like the slightest impetuous to be like, oh well, Jay said I can go out here and just like fuck on everybody I want to. So I'm gonna fuck on everybody I want to. I ain't say that. Ain't nobody said that. Even this book ain't say that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Zone do it. Be wise in all your actions, but be honest in your actions. Be honest about what you want and what you're longing for. Are you being fulfilled? And I really do feel like a lot of you are welcome step into this place where you're looking for fulfillment in all areas of your life. I feel like you guys have been neglecting yourselves in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's really time to expand that out, to look within yourself and see how you can find joy, how you can find pleasure, how can you express those things without feeling like, if you've lived a sexually repressed life, how do you express your sexual desire without feeling guilt or shame? Like, maybe you're like, I want to find a lover and just, I don't want to have to, maybe you don't want to wait until marriage to have sex. And you come from a belief system that tells you that people who have sex before marriage are deviants and all you just want is just to cuddle with somebody. How do you unpack that and to find love again? How do you unpack all the ways in which you've harmed and neglected yourself to find that fulfillment again? Maybe you denied yourself a piece of food that you were told you couldn't have because someone online, someone's like, oh, that's like low vibrational, or you've been so afraid of gaining weight or something, that your life has been balanced around the scale and a clothes size, and part of you wants to be like, I just want to eat the fucking cake. Eat the fucking cake. Like, what ways have you been taught that some things that are innate and natural that you've been taught that they are that they're detrimental to you? And how do you unpack that? How do you what's what I'm looking for? Re-empower yourself, right? How do you bring those back to you? And how do you, just like, how can you navigate that? How do you find the joy? And these are open-ended questions where I'm asking you to ask yourself that. Ask yourself, how do you do these things and how you get about doing it? Again, introspective time frame. It's a really, really good time to sit with ourselves, within ourselves, and seeing what we're lacking, what we're missing, what we're longing for. And again, like I said, that energy I felt when I had those cards in my hand, I feel like a lot of us are already there. A lot of us are very hopeful and waiting for it. We're really, really waiting for it. And some of us already gotten it, already got to the place where we like, bet, I already know what I want. I'm already releasing shit. Like I said, like I felt like happy tears, or just like releasing tears. Like you're finally releasing that energy. And I love that for you. I genuinely do. So I'm at the end of this reading now. It's not as short as I thought it was going to be, but that's me. I got affirmation decks here. I don't remember the name. This is something that someone has sent me from Amazon. So I'm using this one. Oh, that was a bad shuffle. There you go. And pull out a couple words of affirmations. Okay. I'm just... Oh, okay. Oh, wait, some extra words. I hope this reading made sense. I'm not sure if it did. It's a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on. I think we will all be okay. There's a lot that's happening. I keep feeling this need to cry. And it's not a personal, like it's not necessarily me feeling the need to cry. It just feels like, I don't know if some of you who listen to this, and will be feeling a need to cry. Tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of relief. But, and again, if you need that permission to do so, you've been granted it. You've been granted that permission to just release, let go. And I think that's really why these pleasure and lust cards came out for you. Also, along with the shining card, let go of people's perceptions of you. Let go of the fear. Let go of the avoidance of the fullness of life. Let go of trying to be perfect. God, aren't you exhausted? Aren't you tired? Seriously, aren't you tired of everything having to look a certain way, be a certain way, present itself a certain way? How you can't even get involved or active in something until it fits or suits this particular look. Like everything is about perception, and it's empty. It's all about what looks good, but it's vapid, it's empty, it's that reverse Four of Pentacles energy. Oh, there you go. I stand up for what I believe in. Love that especially when we're talking about leaving communities that no longer serve you. Stand up for what you believe in. That's something else that, if you're out here feeling like that everything has to be sort of, that you're feeling like you've been wrapped into this. I'm really getting like a social media type of thing where everybody has to present themselves, like not even being authentic, not even true, but just presenting themselves, looking a certain way for social media. Having to look and it's not even your true self. It's just, here's how it's like those social media filters, right? It's like there's a real me behind it, but the real me is hidden behind all these filters, and the filter version looks pretty, it looks pristine, but it's fake. It's fake. It's so fake, and it's exhausting keeping up with that. It's exhausting to keep up with those charades, and this reading is really telling you that it's time to let that go, to find something real, to find something that's substantial, to find your place within this life in a real and genuine and true way. You don't need to be fake. Like this card says, I stand for what I believe in. Find what you believe in. Is there another message in this particular affirmation deck? No, I think that's it. The last deck I'm going to be using is the I Am Everything deck. Okay. All right. All right, give me one last words of affirmation for in this reading off, Spirit, please. I said that funny. Spirit, please. Spirit, please send me some words of affirmation for this. If y'all don't like the sound of shuffling, let me know, and then I'll just edit it out in the future. Because I do want to make this again, seeing how this goes, seeing if y'all prefer this, or because like I said, I can't do the video readings anymore because my camera currently doesn't work, which is kind of fine. At the moment, I don't really feel like being on camera. I am a creator. I'm not saying that's the card that came out. But in the whole, I do think I am ambitious. Again, that's the card, but see. But just let me know what you guys think about this. Because I was thinking about, I might just end up doing it anyway. at the end of the day. But just let me know if what y'all think about, if you happen to listen to this, and if how you feel about the shuffling aspect of it. I know it's gonna be a lot of to get through with a lot of background noises. The mic I have is good, but it's not great. And it's currently all I have. So yeah, I am a creator. I am ambitious. So I am creator says everything around me began as a thought. My clothes, my home, and even the roads I drive on were once just thoughts. When I take the time to contemplate my surroundings, I grasp all of the thoughts that took place to create the world. Likewise, my thoughts have created things. My thoughts create my actions and thereby create my life as I know it. Therefore, I strive, and I strive to think about my desires optimistically. I'm a creator. I love that. I really do feel like that goes with the shine cards. And we're talking about desires when we're talking about the sacred lust and the pleasure cards, because your desires are not just carnal, but it's like, what do you desire out of this life? What do you desire out of yourself? What do you desire as a whole? What do you want to create? What do you want? Like I said, your legacy. What legacy do you want to create? What world do you want to create? How do you want to help shape the world? You have a purpose in that, as we all do. Every single one of us has a purpose to shape and take care of and love this world, this earth, as its collective caretakers. So how are you going to shape that around you? How are you shaping the communities around you? How are those communities around you shaping you? How are you willing to shape your mindset to change about what you're willing to do, what you need, and what you desire? How you're willing to reshape and refocus what the standard has been presented to you, about how life has been presented to you, about what we can and cannot do, what is and isn't allowed. Some things that are allowed are vicious and malicious. So how do you step forward? How do you speak up and be like, I can't stand for this? So what can you do? How do you create a world in which you are proud to be a member of, a person in? How do you create a community? How do you create, what I'm saying? Like all those things that I'm asking these questions, because I want you to reflect on it. I want you to ask yourself these questions. Sit in meditation with these questions. Write them down, journal them, look at them, and just reflect on them and come back to them whenever you hear this message. How do you, like this card says, stand up for what you believe in? You have to create that world that you want to stand up for what you believe in, for it can be a reflection of what you believe in. The I Am Ambitious card reads, I put my goals and ideas into action. There it is. I take a leap of faith and I believe in myself. There it is. And when I put my heart's desires into action, it's for the good of all those involved. There it is. I am ambitious. I ain't gotta say nothing else. Do I gotta say something else? I'm gonna say something else. I ain't gotta say nothing else. I'm very grateful for this reading. I'm very grateful for spirit ancestors and my guides for giving me this reading to share with you guys. I hope it's a really good one. I hope it resonates with those who's meant to resonate with. I hope that you find these words of encouragement. Like I said, take what take what resonates and leave the rest. I want to thank Great Spirit ancestors and guides for allowing me to be the vessel to share this message with you guys. I pray that these words offer words of encouragement whenever you may need them to help you go forward in whatever the next phase of your life is. And more importantly, I want to thank you. Also importantly, I want to thank you for showing up for yourself, for clicking on this reading and giving it the time of day for allowing me to share this message with you, and for taking the necessary steps to move forward in your life. Thank you for being here with me. I don't think I introduced myself at the beginning, so for those who don't know me, I am Jay. I am a tarot reader, hoodoo practitioner, aka Jay, aka Black Libra Goddess. This is Black Libra Goddess readings, and thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you in the next one. This will not be my last time doing one of these. I really do think I'm going to do these going forward. Hopefully in the future with better equipment. I'm not going to stop saying that because my equipment pisses me off. But no, I'm going to be grateful for it. I'm going to be grateful for everything I got because I could be doing this on my cell phone, which is honestly not a bad idea. Hold on. No, no, no. I can't do that. Anyway, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you to spirit, ancestors, and guides. Thank you to you. Thank you to your spirit, ancestors, and guides for leading you here. Thank you to the cards for their messages. And I will see you guys in the next one. I love you guys. Stay blessed. Bye.